I knew, even before she spoke. Still, I asked, "Hot date with Mandy and Leah again?" Kayla didn't even flinch. "I have a date tonight," she said, cold, like it was a weather report. I blinked. "So do I," I replied. That got her attention. Her eyes snapped to mine in the mirror. A flicker of something passed. Confusion? Panic? She recovered quickly, but not quickly enough. I'd seen it. That tiny fracture. She turned to face me, lips parted. "Wait, what?" But I was already walking away. I didn't have a date, not in the romantic sense. What I had was a flash drive. What I had was a month-long catalog of browser histories, cloud logins, and photos. My best friend Evan helped me pull it together. Evan, snarky, brilliant, and loyal to a fault. He'd seen the signs before I did. When Kayla started staying late at work, when she changed her phone password, when she began locking the bathroom door and taking her phone in with her like it was a newborn. I'd dismissed it. I wanted to believe her. I loved her. We were supposed to be getting married in 6 months. That night after Kayla left, heels tapping like Morse code down the front steps, I didn't follow her. I didn't need to. I already had the Uber receipts. Marcus Lee. Pickup location. Our address. Drop-off. Downtown condo. I'd traced the pattern for weeks. Marcus was a personal trainer with the abs to prove it. A walking motivational quote with dimples. And the same guy who used to offer to help me bulk up whenever he came by the house. He was also the man Kayla was sleeping with. At first, I thought it was just that. A one-time betrayal. A weak moment. But no. What I found in that hidden folder on her cloud drive told a different story. It was months of photos. Hotel rooms. Gym selfies. One where she was sitting on his lap, holding a smoothie, grinning like a teenager. Another with her in lingerie, taken in the bathroom of our vacation rental in Asheville, the one I'd surprised her with for her birthday. Then the voice recordings. Kayla's voice. Breathless, laughing. "I mean, Dylan's nice, but he's so boring, Marcus. Like, he actually sets reminders for laundry. I just tune him out when he talks about work stuff. Sometimes I forget we're engaged." My hands shook as I listened. And then, worse, he'd never believe I could do better. Watch. She was mocking me. To the man she was cheating with. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't cry either. I just sat at my desk, the glow of the screen painting everything in cold blue light. There was a moment, brief, surreal, when I found myself counting the dollars I'd spent on the engagement ring. 6,800 and change. She cried when I proposed. Now I wonder if she laughed when she told Marcus about it. The next morning, Kayla was already gone when I woke up. She left a post-it note on the fridge. Brunch with Rachel? Rachel was my sister, which meant she was lying to someone. I texted Rachel, "Brunch today?" Her reply, "What? No, why?" That was the moment I knew. She wasn't just lying to me. She was lying to everyone. I called Evan. "I'm ready," I told him. My voice was steady, calm, too calm. He didn't ask what I meant. He just said, "Bring the drive. I'll get the coffee." This wasn't about confronting her anymore. This was about building a case. And that night, as I clicked open the secure backup folder Kayla didn't know I'd mirrored from her drive, I found a subfolder labeled "Deleted Soon." Inside was a PDF, my 401k statement, downloaded from my private email. Accessed 3 weeks ago, she wasn't just cheating, she was planning something. And whatever it was, it had to be stopped. The second page of that PDF felt like a gut punch. Kayla Moore, primary beneficiary, not fiancé, not wife. Just a name that had somehow been inserted into my financial future like it belonged there. Except it didn't. I stared at the screen for a long time, trying to remember if I'd ever checked that detail before. Maybe I had added her and forgotten. Maybe during one of those late nights clicking through forms and planning our life. But no, I would have remembered that, especially since I had never shared my retirement account credentials with her. I checked the login logs, IP addresses, locations. There it was, 3 weeks ago, 2:12 a.m., login from our home network. While I'd been dead asleep next to her, she'd used my laptop, the same one I'd left charging on the kitchen counter. My stomach twisted. This wasn't impulse. It was strategy. And suddenly, all the little inconsistencies started clicking into place. The new lock screen on her phone, her constant need for privacy, even while brushing her teeth, late-night showers with the door locked, and the fan blasting to drown out any sound. She never used to care about any of that. Then there were the passwords. Her phone had gone from fingerprint to Face ID only. Her laptop had a 6-digit PIN she changed every month. And every time I asked to borrow it for something trivial, printing, checking a receipt, she had a ready excuse. I'm working on something confidential. It's syncing right now. It's acting weird. Just use yours. But she wasn't working. She was hiding. I had dismissed it all as stress. I told myself she was overwhelmed with her job at the shelter, or maybe pre-wedding nerves. I even blamed myself for being too mechanical, for being too in love with routine, as if predictability were a crime. It wasn't nerves, it was preparation. At brunch that weekend with my sister Rachel, I tried to act normal. I pushed eggs around my plate, didn't touch my coffee, couldn't bring myself to laugh when Kayla launched into a dramatic retelling of some work drama about a misplaced client file. She lost it completely, Kayla said, grinning, started sobbing in the break room. I mean, who does that over a piece of paper? Rachel smiled politely, but her eyes were on me, narrowed, quietly watching. After Kayla left the table to take a call, probably Marcus, based on her tone shift, Rachel leaned in. "What's going on?" she asked softly. I shook my head. Nothing. Just didn't sleep. She didn't buy it. Rachel never bought it. She and I had always had this unspoken radar between us, an emotional Morse code only siblings understand. "You look like someone just told you Santa was fake and also stole your wallet," she whispered. I smiled. Barely. But in that moment, I decided she deserved to know. Not yet. Not here. Later that night, I copied the hidden folder from Kayla's cloud storage onto a second drive, labeled it innocuously, 2023, Tax Docs. Inside were photos, dozens, screenshots of messages, a calendar sync that showed multiple overnight conferences that coincided perfectly with Marcus's social media posts, tagged from hotel rooms. The worst part? She'd saved a video, her and Marcus, in my house, the same couch where we'd celebrated our engagement with champagne and takeout. I didn't watch it. I didn't need to, but I saved it, just in case. My phone buzzed then. A text from Kayla. "Babe, forgot to mention, let's do sushi tomorrow. Been craving it all week, throwing kisses." I stared at the message for a full minute. A week ago I might have smiled, might have texted back with a dumb pun about tuna rolls. Instead, I turned off my phone. I needed clarity, not affection. I needed truth. And I was done pretending this was just emotional betrayal. She had accessed my accounts. She had lied about her schedule. She had brought another man into our home. And she'd named herself my beneficiary like it was a casual checkbox. That night, I told Rachel the truth. We sat across from each other at a quiet Italian place, candles flickering between half-eaten bowls of pasta. When I finished, she didn't say anything for a long time, just reached out, took my hand across the table, and held it. "You're not crazy," she said finally. "You're not imagining this. And you don't have to do it alone." Her voice cracked slightly on that last part. I didn't realize until then how badly I'd needed someone to believe me. As we left the restaurant, I felt my pocket vibrate. Another text from Kayla. "I miss you tonight. Can't wait to come home to you. Come home to lie to me." More like. Rachel handed me a flash drive. She didn't say what was on it at first, just looked at me with those same steady eyes she'd used when we buried our childhood dog, when we watched our dad flatline, when she told me she was pregnant over milkshakes at 2 a.m. "This is going to suck," she said. "But I need you to look at it." Back home, I waited until Kayla was asleep. I'd memorized her new sleep patterns. She snored faintly when she hit the third REM cycle, left her phone on Do Not Disturb, and always charged it face down. I plugged Rachel's drive into my laptop. It held 2 folders, one marked Marcus, one marked Other. I didn't want to open the second, My stomach was already turning. But first, Marcus. Photos. Different from the ones I'd found. These weren't just hotel selfies or bedroom shots. These were intimate. Not in a sexual way, but in a life-sharing, day-to-day kind of way. Grocery store pictures. Her at the gym in one of my shirts. Her car parked outside his apartment. Her and Marcus walking his dog. A selfie of her asleep on his chest, their faces smushed together like they'd done it 1,000 times. These weren't snapshots of an affair. They were documentation of a parallel relationship. Then came a voice memo. Marcus's voice, smooth and cocky. "You think he suspects yet?" Kayla's laugh, low and throaty. "Dylan? No. He's too sweet, too predictable." A pause. Then, her voice again. "I could tell him I'm pregnant and he'd probably propose again." My hand clenched into a fist. I closed the folder. But I had to open the second one. Other. More photos. A man I didn't recognize at first. A different gym. A different city. Kayla wasn't just cheating with Marcus. There was another guy. The metadata said these pictures were older. Some over a year ago. Which meant Marcus wasn't the start. He was just the latest. And I remembered something Kayla had said once, half drunk at a party when someone asked how we met. He was just there, you know. Solid. Comfortable. Like a porch light you leave on. I'd laughed then. Now it felt like foreshadowing. I ran facial recognition on the unknown guy. Evan had installed some shady but legal software months ago when we built our home server together. It pinged quickly. Jason Kim. Registered trainer. Lives 2 cities over. Used to be tagged in a few of Kayla's older posts. Before she started scrubbing her social. This wasn't an affair. It was a pattern. I messaged Rachel. "Me. How did you get these?" Her reply came seconds later. "Rachel. Friend at the gym. One of her old clients mentioned Kayla's boyfriend. Thought it meant you." That stung in a new way. Not because of the word boyfriend, but because people knew. People saw her with these men. Thought they were real. Thought I was a ghost in her life. Kayla wasn't even hiding. She was just assuming I wouldn't look. And until recently, she was right. I scrolled through the drive until I found the one that broke me. A video. Marcus again. But in our bedroom. He was shirtless. She was laughing, wrapped in our duvet. The same one we bought during a weekend trip to the coast. The same one she'd once said, felt like home. I didn't hit play. Just stared at the thumbnail. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I shut the laptop. That's when I knew. This wasn't about confronting her anymore. This was about dismantling her mask. Quietly. Strategically. I pulled out a notebook, started listing everything. Access logs, financial discrepancies, timestamps, voice memos, screenshots, a timeline, a case. This was no longer heartbreak. This was a prelude. The next morning, Kayla acted normal, almost annoyingly so. Wore my old hoodie, kissed me on the cheek, told me she loved how doting I'd been lately. I smiled, told her she deserved it. She said she was heading to work early. Her phone buzzed twice on the counter. I glanced. Can't wait for tonight. No name. Just a heart emoji. She noticed me looking and slid it into her bag, smooth as silk. "Client emergency," she muttered. "One of the kids." "Right." She walked out the door with a wink. I waited exactly 3 minutes, then grabbed the backup drive from its hiding spot. Time to visit Evan. It was time to bring in reinforcements. I wasn't expecting Kayla's boss. Sandra Bell. Social services case coordinator. Tough as hell, from what I'd heard. I only recognized her because she'd been at Kayla's last work gala, the one where Kayla forgot to introduce me. She spotted me in the driveway as she left Evan's place, narrowed her eyes for a half beat, then gave a tight, curious nod before driving off. I walked into Evan's kitchen, still unsettled. "She's the boss, right?" I asked, setting down the flash drive. Evan didn't look up from his monitor. "Yup. She reached out to me, actually." "What? Why?" He finally glanced at me, grinning slightly. "Because she's not blind. And she's not stupid. Said she's been suspicious of Kayla misusing case time, swapping hours, claiming field work she never did." I sat down slowly. "She think Kayla's embezzling? Or screwing clients? Or both?" The room went silent. The fridge hummed like it was holding its breath. Did you tell her what we know? Evan shook his head. Not yet. I told her you'd need to be the one to talk. But I did mention you had documentation. Good, I said. Because this just got bigger than me. We spent the next few hours combing through files. Evan helped me sort photos by date, sort metadata, isolate IP pings. He was in his element, clicking, coding, muttering under his breath. At one point he leaned back and asked, "You sure you want to go full nuclear on this?" I didn't answer for a long moment. Then, "She made herself my beneficiary, accessed my accounts without permission. That's fraud. The cheating is just seasoning." He nodded. Then, we build the bomb. That night, I did something strange. I took Kayla out to dinner. Some French fusion place she'd been hinting about for weeks. Expensive. Ridiculously dim lighting. Cloth napkins folded like origami. I needed her relaxed. Off guard. I let her order the wine. I let her do all the talking. I nodded at the right moments. Laughed when she laughed. I played fiancé. "You've been so sweet lately," she said, running her hand over mine. "It's like I have my old Dylan back." "Better version," I replied. "Less distracted." She tilted her head, curious. "Distracted?" I smiled. "I just realized I want to focus on us more." She beamed. The candlelight caught the glint in her eye. God, she really thought she was winning. I watched her eat, savor the steak, wipe the corners of her mouth daintily with a napkin, completely unaware that just 12 hours earlier, I'd watched a grainy video of her calling Marcus the real man in her life. I excused myself mid-dessert and walked to the alley behind the restaurant, called Rachel. "She bought it," I whispered. "Of course she did," Rachel said. "She's narcissistic. They think lies are invisible as long as they smile through them." "Next step? Legal," she said. "And financial." That night, after Kayla fell asleep beside me, I unlocked the safe box under my bed. Inside, a separate flash drive, backup of the backup, hidden away from everything, even Evan. Paranoia? Maybe, but I was done being caught off guard. I slid it into the secure port of my laptop and opened the final folder. One Kayla definitely didn't know I had. It was a cache from her old phone, the one she thought she'd factory reset. Turns out she didn't do it correctly. There were message fragments, drafted but unsent emails, a memo titled, "What to Say If He Finds Out." It was a script, a contingency script, bullet points. Say it was a phase. Blame stress. Cry early. Disarm him emotionally. Mention how you stayed loyal during his depressed months. Even if not true. Repeat, "I never stopped loving you." If all else fails, say you thought he was cheating first. I slammed the lid shut. My heart wasn't even broken anymore. It was forged. Cliffhanger. The next morning, Kayla confronted me in the kitchen. "You've been different, Dylan. Cold. Is something going on?" I just smiled and handed her coffee. "Nothing you don't already know. There's a specific kind of anger that doesn't feel like fire. It feels like ice. Sharp, clean, numbing." That's where I was now. No more second-guessing. No more hoping this was a lapse in judgment. This was intentional. Kayla wasn't sorry, she was prepared. I met Evan at a coffee shop with no Wi-Fi. His idea. "No digital trails," he said. "If she's snooping on your IP or synced devices, we keep this clean." We built a timeline. Each digital breadcrumb Kayla left, rideshare receipts, late-night logins, deleted messages Evan recovered from her app cache. We cross-referenced it with my travel schedule, account statements, even dog-walking camera timestamps. Then came the financials. "Dude," Evan said, eyes wide. "She's been moving small amounts from your personal checking into the joint one, then withdrawing cash. Like clockwork. Always under $600. I blinked. "Why $600? "Because banks don't automatically flag withdrawals under that unless you request alerts." He slid the spreadsheet toward me. "Total damage so far, $12,800. She's slow burning you. And it wasn't just the money. She accessed your 401k, added herself as a beneficiary, and initiated a quote simulation withdrawal. Not a full transfer, but a test. Like she wanted to see how easy it'd be. She told me she didn't know how to log in, I muttered, half to myself. Evan nodded grimly. She lied. I reached into my coat and pulled out a business card. Paul Landry, divorce attorney. Rachel's recommendation. I have an appointment with him tomorrow. Good, Evan said. You're gonna need armor. Paul Landry was all sharp corners and blunt truths. His office smelled like old books and filtered rage. He flipped through my folder in silence. Photos, logs, financial data, Kayla's access history, my documentation. When he finally looked up, he said, "You've got 3 things: infidelity, financial misappropriation, and digital fraud." I raised an eyebrow. That last one, can we prove it? She accessed your accounts without permission, used your credentials, changed your beneficiary. It's legally murky, but it qualifies. He scribbled something on a yellow pad. Best case, we file an injunction, freeze shared assets, remove her from any beneficiary roles, and prepare for civil proceedings. Worst case, she fights it, claims emotional stress, drags it out. And jail? He exhaled. Unlikely. But reputational damage? Employment issues? Absolutely. I hesitated. How long will it take? He gave me a flat look. My lawyer warned me it could take weeks, but we filed anyway. I nodded. We filed. That night, Kayla came home chirping about wedding dates. I was thinking fall. You know, moody florals, jewel tones, maybe somewhere coastal. I blinked. Was she seriously planning our wedding while quietly funneling cash and sleeping with Marcus? She poured wine, barefoot, humming, like nothing was wrong. And for once, I played along. "Oh yeah," I said, sipping the wine. "Where were you thinking?" She sat down beside me, tucking her legs under her. "Somewhere intimate. Just family and close friends. Maybe the vineyard where Rachel got engaged." I almost choked on my drink. But I didn't react. I let her talk. I smiled. I nodded. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I'm so glad we're in a better place." The gall. The audacity. But her game was almost over. The next morning, I began securing my life. I met with my bank, revoked Kayla's access to all shared accounts, and transferred my main funds to a separate institution, froze the emergency fund, updated my will, changed my power of attorney. Then I called Rachel. "It's time," I told her. She didn't ask what I meant, just asked where and when. We met Kayla for drinks that night. Her idea. Sister bonding, she called it. Rachel was icy from the start. "I have a question," she said, setting her glass down hard enough to rattle the table. "How long have you been using my brother like a damn debit card?" Kayla froze. The bar noise faded into background hum. My glass was still half full, untouched. What? Rachel leaned in. "Spare me. You think I didn't notice? Late-night work events, sneaky withdrawals, the way you flinch when someone mentions Marcus's name?" Kayla tried to laugh it off, but her voice cracked. "Are you accusing me of something?" Rachel smiled, teeth bared. "No, I'm warning you." Then she stood, left her drink untouched, and walked out. Kayla turned to me, eyes wide. "What was that?" I shrugged. "Maybe she's just protective." Kayla shook her head, unsettled for the first time in weeks. I smiled to myself. The first domino had fallen. Kayla didn't speak for a full minute. She just stood in the doorway, frozen, eyes scanning the formal legal summons like it had been written in a language she didn't understand. Then she looked up. "You're suing me?" Her voice was breathless. Not angry, not shocked, just hollow. I took the envelope from her trembling hand and set it gently on the counter. "It's not personal," I said. "It's just legal. You think this is funny?" "No," I said evenly. "I think fraud is serious." She blinked rapidly, like the tears were already building, like she'd been caught speeding but still couldn't believe the cop was actually writing a ticket. "You're blowing everything out of proportion." I held up my phone. On the screen, the beneficiary form with her forged digital signature, the access logs, the late-night withdrawals. "Explain this, Kayla. Explain it to a judge." She went pale. And then she did the one thing I didn't expect. She tried to flip it. "I can't believe you'd ambush me like this. After everything we've been through?" After I stood by you through your anxiety and work burnout? That was her move. Always. Weaponize my past. Twist support into a debt I owed. But not this time. No, Kayla, I said quietly. You stood beside me, but you weren't with me. She laughed once. Bitter. Defensive. Wow, you're really doing this. I didn't respond. I just walked upstairs and closed the door behind me. Downstairs, I heard her pacing, the rustle of papers, a half-hearted sob, but I felt nothing. That night, I slept like a corpse. The next morning, I met Rachel at a downtown cafe. She was already there, sunglasses on, ice cracking in her drink like a metronome for revenge. You ready for the final stage? She asked. I nodded. Good, she said. Because I got her to talk. I stared. Rachel pulled out her phone and hit play. Audio. Scratchy but clear. Kayla's voice. I just don't know how to fix this. He found everything. The money, the Marcus stuff. I should have deleted those accounts. Another voice. Rachel, feigning sympathy. What exactly did he find? Everything. The transfers, the fake invoices I wrote to move money, the backups, even the old phone I thought I wiped. It's like he knew. Rachel paused the recording. I had a drink with her. Told her you were falling apart. She panicked. Started oversharing. I blinked. She admitted to falsifying documents? Yup. And it's all recorded. Is that admissible? I asked Paul. Rachel said. One-party consent state. It's solid. I sat back in my chair, stunned. You are diabolical, she smiled. You're welcome. Later that day, I returned home to find Kayla pacing with her phone to her ear. I didn't ask who she was calling. Didn't matter, because I had everything I needed now. That evening, I met with Sandra Bell. Yes, that Sandra, the one who walked out of Evan's house with a grim expression and tighter lips. We met in a quiet conference room at her office. I've been watching Kayla for months, Sandra said. Inconsistencies, expense reports, hours logged on days she wasn't here. But I needed something stronger than suspicion. I handed her the flash drive. Everything's time-stamped. There are overlaps between your agency hours and locations she claimed she was working. She wasn't. She was with Marcus. Or at a spa. Or doing absolutely nothing. Sandra exhaled like she'd been waiting to do that for years. This might be enough for termination. Possibly criminal investigation. She looked me in the eye. I don't know who you were before this, Mr. Carter, but right now, you're very useful. I gave her a polite smile. Glad to help. That night, Rachel called. I have a favor to ask, she said. Anything. Invite her to dinner. What? A special dinner. Fancy place. Tell her you're trying to work things out. I'll handle the guest list. You want to ambush her? I want her to burn. I thought about it. The lies. The laughter. The smirk she wore when she thought I was too weak to fight back. Okay, I said. Let's burn it down. The invitation went out 2 days later. Kayla texted back in under a minute. Dinner? Just us? I replied. You'll see. She sent a heart emoji. I stared at it for a long time before deleting the thread. The next night, Kayla walked into a restaurant dressed to kill. She wasn't expecting an audience. She definitely wasn't expecting Marcus. Kayla hesitated in the doorway, caught mid-step like a deer sensing the trigger under its hoof. Her eyes swept the table. Marcus, Rachel, Evan, Sandra, me. And then she did what all liars do when their lies run out. She smiled like nothing was wrong. Wow, she said, her voice brittle with forced charm. Quite the gathering. What's the occasion? I gestured toward the table. Our engagement. I thought we should celebrate with everyone who's had a hand in it. She blinked. Her jaw ticked. Marcus looked like he wanted to vanish into the floor. Rachel sipped her drink, deliberately loud. Kayla turned to me, voice dropping. Can we talk? Privately? No, I said, loud enough to silence the room. We're all adults. We can do this together. I clapped my hands twice. A waiter wheeled in a flat screen on a cart. Her eyes widened. The screen lit up. Folder icons, audio files, photos, spreadsheets. I selected one. Hit play. Her voice filled the room. He's too sweet, Too predictable. Marcus flinched. Rachel's eyes narrowed. Evan leaned forward like he was watching Game of Thrones. Another clip. I could tell him I'm pregnant, and he'd probably propose again. Marcus shifted in his seat. Kayla's mask cracked for the first time. Dylan, stop. I turned to her calmly. Why? This is your voice. Your words. We're just watching your movie. She lunged for the remote. I beat her to it. Clicked. New screen. Security cam footage. Kayla and Marcus. On our couch. Sharing a glass of wine. His shirt off. Her wearing my hoodie. The room gasped. Rachel let out a low whistle. Sandra's face didn't move, but her eyes burned. Then came the final clip. Audio. Kayla, I've moved some money. He won't notice. I mean, it's his fault for trusting me, right? And finally, by the time he figures it out, I'll already be the one with the ring, the house, and the prenup. The room was silent, except for the clink of ice in someone's glass. Kayla shook her head, tears welling up. Okay, I messed up, but you didn't have to destroy me. I tilted my head. Funny, that's what you were planning to do to me. Sandra stood. You're fired, Kayla. Effective immediately. I've already frozen your access. We'll be reviewing your case files for falsified logs. You'll be hearing from HR, and likely, legal. Kayla whipped toward Marcus. Say something. Help me. But Marcus was stone-faced. You told me he was an alcoholic, that he hit you. I stared at him. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Kayla sputtered. I only said that so you wouldn't feel bad. Rachel stood then. So you lied to your boss, your fiancé, your boyfriend. Anyone left? Kayla backed up toward the door. I don't have to listen to this. You already did. I said. For months. You just never thought you'd hear it played back. She looked at me, no longer smug, no longer in control, just afraid. And when she turned to flee, the final nail dropped. A young server at the entrance raised his phone and said, Smile for the live stream. Kayla froze. Rachel laughed. You didn't think we were the only ones watching, did you? We didn't live stream the whole thing. Just her entrance, the moment the recordings began, and her reaction. Enough. She bolted out the door. Marcus followed. Less dramatically, more like a man heading for a wake. Silence settled over the room. I turned off the screen. Drinks? I offered. Rachel raised her glass. To never ignoring our gut again. Sandra smiled for the first time. To exposure. Evan. To the most well-organized takedown I've ever seen. We clinked. After dinner, I went home alone. Kayla wasn't there. Of course not. But her perfume still clung to the sheets, so I stripped the bed, dumped the linens in a black trash bag, took it straight to the curb. Then I changed the locks again. Out of caution? No. Out of closure. The next morning, the video was everywhere. A clipped version someone had edited. Just the gasps, the screenshots, the line, "This is your voice, your words. We're just watching your movie." It went viral. Her coworkers saw it. Her extended family. I didn't post it, but I didn't stop it either. By noon, Kayla called me 12 times. I didn't pick up. She texted once. Can we talk? Please. I deleted it without reading the rest. Cliffhanger. That night, Marcus's gym posted a notice. Trainer Marcus Lee has been placed on indefinite leave pending internal review. And Kayla? She showed up at my doorstep, crying. I didn't open the door right away. Kayla stood on the porch, wrapped in a hoodie that wasn't hers, face streaked with mascara, hair pulled back like she hadn't touched it in days. The woman who once glided into rooms like she owned the air now looked like she couldn't breathe. She knocked again, softer. Dylan, please. I opened the door just enough to see her, but not enough to invite her in. What do you want? She flinched at my voice, not because it was loud, but because it was empty. Just 5 minutes. Please. I stepped onto the porch and shut the door behind me. You have 60 seconds. She blinked rapidly, trying to compose herself. I messed up. I know I did. But everything's falling apart. Sandra fired me. Marcus won't return my calls. My sister saw the video and won't let me see my nephew. She looked up at me like I might still be her salvation. I wasn't. I didn't mean for it to go this far. No, I said. You meant for it to go further. You just didn't think I'd stop it. She exhaled shakily. I lost everything. Good, I said. Now we're even. She looked like I'd slapped her. I said I was sorry. Not to me. You said it to Marcus in a voice memo while plotting to gut my finances. Kayla's voice cracked. You don't understand how lonely I felt. I raised a hand. No, I stepped back. You're not getting inside. Not the house. Not my life. Not my wallet. She tried again. Can't we just talk? I am talking. You're just not used to hearing me when I stop begging. I turned and closed the door. Her sob caught in the lock. And I didn't feel anything. The next day, Evan texted me a screenshot. Marcus Lee, suspended indefinitely. Jim's statement. Mr. Lee is under review for professional misconduct following online allegations that violate our code of ethics. The post was vague, but the subtext was nuclear. Comments flooded in. Clients pulled their memberships. One even posted an email Kayla sent from her work account, trying to schedule private home sessions. That was Sandra's golden ticket. She called me. We're officially opening an investigation into case record falsification, digital misconduct, and time theft. Because of you, we have timestamps, logs, even screenshots with agency letterhead. I nodded into the phone. Happy to help. And Dylan? Yeah? You should know she forged your signature on one of her travel vouchers. Claimed you were her supervisor for a domestic outreach report. I closed my eyes. Wow. Sandra's voice was crisp. Legal will be in touch with her. By week's end, Kayla had no job, no apartment. Her name was never on the lease. Marcus had vanished from social media. A LinkedIn update marked him open to work. I deleted the engagement photo album, blocked her number, even changed the Spotify password. Petty? Maybe, but it was mine. And then, like all things that lose oxygen, the noise died down. Except for one message. Rachel left a note in my mailbox. No envelope. Just a folded square of paper that smelled faintly like peppermint gum. You won. 2 words. But they hit harder than any monologue. I texted her later that night. Me. What made you believe me so fast? Rachel. You stopped defending her. Rachel. You looked like Dad did when Mom broke his trust. Calm. Cold. Done. She wasn't wrong. That week, I met Paul Landry again. He slid the final documents across his desk. Full financial recovery. Kayla agreed to pay back every dollar under threat of civil fraud charges. It'll take years, but it's in writing. I flipped the last page. My signature. Her signature. Mine steady. Hers shaky. She also waived any claim to joint assets, Paul added. Your house, your accounts, everything's yours. And the recordings? He smirked. Perfectly legal. Her lawyer didn't even contest them. Said, and I quote, "She's more concerned with her reputation now than her rights." I stood, extended a hand. Thank you, Paul. He shook it. You earned this. Not just the win, the clarity. That night, I walked through the house alone. The silence wasn't heavy anymore. It was earned. Cliffhanger. As I locked the front door and turned to go upstairs, I noticed something taped to the mirror. Kayla's handwriting. One word. Forgive? I tore it down without reading the rest. I tore the note in half, then in quarters. Then I dropped it in the kitchen trash, like it was just another grocery list she forgot to write down. Forgive? She didn't want forgiveness. She wanted relief. She wanted a shortcut out of consequences, a reset button without the software update. But I wasn't her power source anymore. The next morning, I visited the bank. Final move. Closure. I changed every last detail on my accounts. Security questions, backup email, even my safe deposit authorization. I wasn't leaving any back doors open. The manager, a kind older woman who'd seen my last name on too many forms marked a joint, smiled gently as I signed the final separation paperwork. Clean slate, she said, watching me slide the pen across the last form. Exactly, I said. Later that day, I boxed the last of Kayla's things, whatever scraps she hadn't grabbed in her rushed exit. A few shoes, old books, a cracked iPad, and a hoodie she'd once stolen from me, worn so much it had absorbed her scent. I tossed them in a cardboard box and dropped it at her sister's front door. No note, no call, just return to sender. That night I changed the locks one last time. As the deadbolt clicked into place, I felt something cold wash through me. Not sadness, not even triumph, just quiet. I stood by the window for a while, watching the street. Same view, same lamppost flickering like it always did. But the house felt different, lighter. My phone buzzed once. Rachel, did you see Kayla's account? I opened the app. Her profile was blank, wiped clean. No photos, no tags. Just a single post, taking time to heal. I made mistakes. I hurt people. I lost someone who never deserved any of it. I'll carry that. The comments were sympathetic. As always, I hope you're okay, Kayla. People grow through pain. She's still the sweetest soul. I didn't comment. I just closed the app and deleted it. The next morning, I signed final confirmation documents with Paul. The lawsuit was officially closed. Kayla would repay me in installments, $400 a month until the debt cleared. It would take over 2 years, but I didn't care about the time. I cared about the message. She wouldn't leave this behind untouched. Not this time. After I left his office, I stopped at a locksmith, asked for a new mailbox key. Not because Kayla had it. She never touched the mail, but because I wanted everything new. He handed me the fresh key, cold, brass, untouched, clean slate. That night, I blocked her number. Final act. No warning, no message, just a clean press of the screen. Block this caller. Yes. I stood in the kitchen afterward, making tea, breathing in the peppermint steam like it was some kind of sacred ritual, and that's when I saw the envelope. It wasn't from her. It was from Rachel. Inside was a card. No occasion, no frills, just her handwriting. You didn't just survive this, you won it. And some part of you is going to want to feel sorry for her. Don't. Let her carry it. You earned your peace. Don't trade it for pity. I set the card on the windowsill and smiled. The house didn't feel like a battleground anymore. It felt like mine again. I repainted the bedroom the next day, tossed the old sheets, bought new ones in dark navy and crisp white, organized the kitchen the way I'd always wanted, with labels and clean containers and alphabetized spices. I even took down the framed print Kayla insisted on keeping in the hallway, replaced it with a photo from a hike I did with Rachel and Evan 3 years ago. Mountains, sky, stillness. My mother visited that weekend. She didn't ask for details, just hugged me a little longer than usual, and stocked my freezer with homemade lasagna. She touched my arm before she left. I'm proud of how quiet you stayed through the noise. I didn't cry, but I held her hand longer than I needed to. I took the following week off work. Didn't tell anyone. Just disconnected. Ace.